So now that I've introduced you to the very basics of progressive overload, let's talk about what it is that really makes it work. And that is this concept called functional overreaching. Functional overreaching, when it comes to fitness training, means that you are trying to get your body to do things that cause it to go beyond its normal capabilities. Thus, it has to adapt to be able to do these things more in the future. All right, so progressive overload is a form of systematic functional overreaching, where you're forcing your body to perform beyond its normal capabilities on a routine basis in a systematized, programmed format that is meant to progressively overload your body more and more over time, which leads to supercompensation, which we talked about at the beginning of the program, and thus then hypertrophy adaptations. However, it also leads to fatigue, okay? And too much progressive overload can become very fatiguing and is no longer functional overreaching, but is non-functional overreaching, which is a fancy word for overtraining, all right? So this is why it's important to know what your limits are and not go over them, because when you are overtraining, that is how you injure yourself. I know because I've been there. So know what your limits are and how much work you can actually do, and don't go over that. Remember that the idea is to make yourself stronger so that you can come back tomorrow and do it again and do a little bit more every time. Now, when it comes to functional overreaching and supercompensation, some exercises have a bigger SRA curve, and thus they need more time for recovery and adaptation to take place, and they also cause more fatigue. So with some exercises, your progressive overload is going to go faster, but with some, your progressive overload is going to go slower, and that is just going to be naturally how those muscles go through the process of stimulus, recovery, adaptation, which is usually the case with bigger muscles, which basically can do more work in every single session, but then need more time to recover from it. So one of the big keys to success here is being patient, all right? You need to let your muscles do the progressive overload and make the progress that they can make at whatever rates they can do it. And each muscle is going to be different, all right? And you're going to continue to do your functional overreaching and progressive overload more and more over time. But there will come a time when your workload has increased to the point where you need to take a step back and backpedal a little bit to counteract the fatigue and just all of the ways that that level of work is taxing your body, all right? Because you do not want that functional overreaching to become non-functional overreaching, all right? Which basically means you are doing the overreaching, but you're not getting any functional adaptations made because of it, because it is too much work for your body to recover from. So whenever that happens, as soon as you notice it happening, you want to stop doing that much work, all right? Dial it back to almost where you began doing progressive overload, all right? Start it over, but not at the very beginning. Start it over like one step later, right? So go back to what you were doing in week 2 of this block. Start that there, and then you'll be able to go on a little bit further than that. That is how you make progress, slowly and steadily over time. That is why you have to be patient. It's called progressive overload, not rapid or instantaneous overload. So keep doing progressive overload and overreaching until you can't anymore. Then stop and start again and try to go further next time. And what you'll find is that as you do that, every couple months or so, there's going to become a much larger, longer term, greater scale level of progressive overload that begins to develop and evolve out of the smaller blocks of it. Then you're going to start to see really big results. But if you want to do that, you need to think big picture here, because supercompensation and hypertrophy adaptations do take long periods of time, all right? So it will take a while, like about a year or so, for you to add 100 pounds to your bench press. But in small, steady increments, if you're putting on like 10 pounds every month, then it does become possible to add 100 pounds in a training a year. As long as you are doing consistent functional overreaching and supercompensation, your body will make the adaptations to get you there one step at a time.